lick lacquer off linoleum.
Welcome back to the Gentleman's Sit-Down. We're an untraditional podcast.
Trying to be traditional gentlemen.
Yes. Today, we're going to begin our origin storytelling. And on this day,
Cue music.
yes,
Perhaps violins, electric violins. Okay, I'm sorry. Setting the mood.
today we're going to start with my origin story.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
I'm excited.
it's going to be a lot of me talking, but it's okay because next episode will be a lot of Josh talking.
Yeah.
So
And I'll try to be your voice, like ask a question, interact when I can, if you know. But this is your story. Go for it. Dive in.
yeah.
Get wet with it. I would say go off the high dive.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it
This
as
thing.
brief as I can. I don't want to bore people.
No, man. Connect. Connect the dots. Connect the points.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Shall we?
yes. Yeah, I'll just talk
Once
about
upon a time.
early childhood. Early childhood was pretty simple, you know? From the age of like 3 to 9, I was moving a lot. Well, a lot. Like within every 3 years, we would move. So I was born on
Wait, what?
when
I'm
I was
sorry.
every 3
You were born?
years since I was born, we would move.
I was talking about the born part. You weren't hatched.
Yeah.
I do have a question. Earliest memory? It was from 3? Is that why you said that? Or that's just when you started moving was about around when you were 3?
Yeah, it was around 3. But I think my earliest memory was when it was around 3.
Yeah.
When we were living in the
Huh.
well, I'll get there. So I was born in 96, December 30th, 1996. And I just was a little baby in this, Greek family. And my dad was working at this, or I think he just started working at this electrical engineering company called Cellwave. Yes. And
Sounds like Skynet.
yeah. And he was working at Cellwave until like I was around 3 years old. I don't have a lot of memories of me being a baby. I think my earliest memory was 3 years old, like I said. And we moved because his company changed names and changed location. So they went from Cellwave to Radio Frequency
Skynet.
Systems,
Oh, okay.
not Skynet. And it's abbreviated to RFS. And my dad then went to Connecticut because that's where they moved to headquarters. And we went from me being 3 years old in this little town, and then we went over to Connecticut. And then in Connecticut, we lived in this apartment, and my sister was born already around that time. So we were living in this apartment for like a couple months, and I remember I had memories living in that apartment for a couple months. It was like winter time. I remember we had like ice was growing, like little like icicles were growing on the balcony
Northeast.
of the apartment.
Yeah, I have good memories of that too.
Yeah, and like my dad, it was the first time I ever ate an icicle because my dad went up and he was holding my sister, and he was like went up, grabbed the icicle, he gave it to her to chew on, and I was like, oh, I want one because I thought it was like whatever. And he was like, oh yeah,
We
take
call them New England freeze pops.
yeah, and he just took them and he gave it to me, and we were all like eating like ice pop. That was probably my earliest of early memories. Was like being a little 3-year-old being dazzled by icicles growing on my balcony.
Huh.
Yeah. And then
What is the age difference between you and your sis?
she's like, I'm almost 3 years older than her, like 2 years and 10 months. So I'm almost 3 years older than her. But yeah. And then right after that, we moved into our first house. I think it was the first house my dad ever owned, and it was just like our first house as a family too. Um, my mom too, and we were just living in the house in Connecticut. You would go to work. I went to school. I started going to kindergarten, and life was like it was like a generic, American dream kind of family where it's like, oh yeah, like the man goes to college, gets the job, gets the wife, gets the kids.
2 kids. Did you have a dog?
No dog, but there was 2 kids and the mom and dad, and like we were living in a house. And then we went to Massachusetts because then my dad, his friend was like, hey man, come up north, come up to Massachusetts because I got this job opportunity for you and you're going to make a lot more money. And he was like, I'm already making good money now. I don't mind making better money. So he went.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he got hired there. We moved to Massachusetts. Massachusetts was where I really started to like,
It's a turning point.
Yeah, I started to make more friends and I started to, go outside of the house and play outside.
Got it.
Without feeling restricted by my family because they were worried about me, they're worried about the little baby. Like we also, and when we in the house in Connecticut, we lived on this big hill that went to a busy road. So my mom was like worried about me playing outside because it's like, oh, what if the ball falls down, gets hit in the road, and then it starts rolling down the hill? And my son, being the crazy little child that he is, runs down the road, So she was a little hesitant on me playing in Connecticut, but in Massachusetts, the house that we lived in there, she was like, yeah, go outside because it was such a quiet town and the roads were they were like dust roads. Like nobody was really driving on them.
It sounds like, was your mom like a helicopter mom or like she was always, or they were more focused on the baby and then you got some freedom is what you're saying to go out more? Like, were you sheltered? Like, were you like, Sotirios, we got to, all parents protect their children, but like,
I just didn't.
Do you feel like it was over the top?
I didn't really do much except play soccer. I played soccer a lot. That was about it.
Oh.
And I remember my soccer memories in Connecticut were like silly because I was just starting to learn and, we were all kids and like they didn't really have rules. So we were just running around in a circle playing a ball and like, they were like, go. I remember like hearing them telling us to shoot it into the goal and we didn't care. We were like, no, keep it away from the other guy. Oh, keep it away from him. Like we were just like playing. We didn't even care about the game.
You didn't think ahead about the goals of the games. I love watching kids play because they're always in the moment. Get away from him. Get away from him. Get away from him.
Yeah.
And they're not thinking about the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
it.
We're just playing stupid.
Cousins played soccer.
And but when I got to Massachusetts, I had some more freedom to play outside. I was able to practice soccer a lot better because we had this big backyard. And so I was just playing soccer all the time in the backyard and I wanted to keep playing more. So I just wanted to be a better soccer player because my dad, I loved watching, my dad on the sideline, like cheering for me. Like, I don't know, it was a thing in my head. I was like, I guess because I was the young boy and I was the son, I was like, I want to make my dad proud, So I was like, and like, I saw him like proud of me when I scored goals and when I played real well. So I was like, I want to get better, That was like my goals. Like, I want to get better.
Trying to impress the dad.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's what I did. And then like while I was in Massachusetts, I was making more friends. And I kind of made friends because I kind of went to Massachusetts already a Red Sox fan because my friend in Connecticut was a Red Sox fan. And so he was like, he's got me into Red Sox. And then I remember when I said to him I was moving to Massachusetts, he's like,
you're going to the Red Sox Mecca.
Yeah, like you're going where the Red Sox live. Yeah. It was like and I was like, oh,
the capital of the Sox.
Yeah, I was like, I had no idea. And then I just went. But yeah. So when I got there, I started making a lot of friends, and that's where I discovered Star Wars too. Because I remember sitting in the bus stop, and like. And this kid, my friend Danny, he was like coming and he was like whacking the ground with his toy lightsaber, and I was like, what the heck is that? That looks cool. And I went up to him and I was like, what is that? And he's like, it's a lightsaber. I'm like, what the hell is a lightsaber? He's like, it's Star Wars. You never seen Star Wars? I was like, no. And he's like, oh, well, you gotta watch Star Wars, dude. Lightsabers, man. That's not exactly how it went, but pretty much how it went. I was like, can I play with it for a little? He's like, yeah, sure, I don't care. And so I started playing it, and like he was like whacking it on the ground. I started playing with it, and I was like doing flurries already and like pretending to fight people. And he was like, whoa. I don't know. We just became friends. And then he introduced me to Star Wars. I would go to his house all the time.
Watch
like,
the old movies, or did you watch?
We were mostly the prequel guys because they were coming out when we were kids.
Yeah.
You know, like I think Star Wars Episode 3 came out a year after I met him. Or yeah, like a year after I met him. Star Wars Episode 3 came out.
So you were watching it from 1 and 2 and
yeah, I didn't even
discovered more later.
Yeah. Yeah. And then and then I don't know.
Funny.
I just played. I would go to his house, right? I would go to his house and we would play Lego Star Wars on PlayStation 2 all the time. So we would play Lego Star Wars on that, and that's how I kind of learned a little more about it. And then like we would play GameCube too, and we'd play like Super Mario Soccer and like Super Mario Kart on there. I had a
GameCube. I loved it.
Yeah, GameCube was fun. I had a Nintendo 64. And I didn't know what a GameCube or a PlayStation 2 was. I just thought Nintendo, like my experience was Nintendo 64 is the only thing.
Oh.
And like,
I had that too.
I had that since Connecticut, and I was playing like Mario Kart and Super Mario. I even had like this Legend of Hercules. Remember the TV show, the Hercules TV show?
Yes, with Sorbo.
I think
Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah. And he had like the yellow tunic thing on, but it was sleeveless. He had like the long brown hair.
I bet you the graphics were great on that.
Yeah. I was playing that too on Nintendo 64. I had a lot of Nintendo 64 games. And then like he showed me GameCube and PlayStation 2. And I was like, what the heck? Like, it's like better graphics.
Yeah,
the games are more fun now because they're just better made. You know, I was like, whoa. I was like, this is crazy. It was a whole new level. And so I was hanging out with him a lot. He was also my neighbor. He lived on the same block. That's how, because I met him on the bus stop, and I was like, oh, we lived on the same blocks, just on the other side of the block. And so we always hung out. And we were in the same grade, same age, so it was like perfect in a way. And then I met his buddy who lived right next door to him, and he was the same age and same grade as us. So it was like we kind of made like a trifecta going on. And we hung out, and like I don't know, it was a funny time, you know. And then I kept playing soccer, and I was getting better and practicing. And then eventually I started like playing really good. I was like one of the better guys in like my age group, and like coaches were noticing, and so travel teams were like, why is this kid not playing on the travel team? Like he was talking to my mom, and my mom was like, I don't know, I didn't even know that existed. You know, like, just put him in the rec team. I didn't care. Like he wanted to play soccer. He was like, you got to put your son in the travel team, and I was excited to hear that because I was like, oh, there's a whole new level of like soccer playing.
You just leveled up.
Yeah, I was like, whoa. I never got to play travel soccer in Massachusetts because, you know, but I remember going home and I was like thinking like, oh, my dad's going to love this. And like, you know, because I played soccer to make him proud. And it was like the only thing that I enjoyed at that time, you know, because I remember going to school and school was just like, I didn't care. Like I was there and just to hang out with my friends, and you know, I did the work because the teachers told me to and my parents told me to when I went home. And I was like, I didn't care about any of this crap. Like, you know, I was not like in it. Like I remember looking back and like I really feel like when I went into school, everything was on autopilot until I was with my friends. And then I would like hang out with my friends and like be funny. And I met another kid named Mike, and like I hung out with him a little around that time. And like he was like a jock, but like he was like me, like shorter stature, but like aggressive, you know, and like wanted to play sports and really competitive. And I remember the two of us, we used to butt head a little because we was like, no, I won, you know, like
the short aggressors.
Yeah. Yeah, like we were
pent
just
up.
Yeah, we were just like at each other's throats with the Napoleon mindset, maybe the Napoleon concept.
Complex, yeah.
Or complex, yeah. But
pit bulls.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, and then I didn't really have a lot of hangout time though, really. The person I hung out with most was my dad. Like every weekend, you know.
Cool.
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday, we would go play soccer too. That's what also helped me. And he would take me to the playgrounds, like the actual places where like the soccer pitches were at. And we would just play there. And
Instead of playing catch, you kick the ball.
yeah, we kick the ball around.
Kick
I
to each
remember
other.
there's this one memory because my sister always wanted to join us, and we didn't always bring her, but we did bring her a bit, but we didn't bring her. She didn't always come. Like it was like 50-50, I guess. At least from my perspective, that's how it feels. My sister will probably argue something else, but
And here we go. No.
no. But my dad and I brought her with us one day, and we were all playing. But then she would always like run away. Like she didn't care enough to play like or practice soccer. But like me and him would keep playing and practicing. He would tell me stuff. And I remember my dad got annoyed one day because I would like run the ball like right up to him and then I'd shoot and score. And he was like, it's a great tactic, but it's annoying because it's like you're so short and you're going right up to right up against me, and then you're shooting the ball in. And it's like I can't block you.
Plus, I don't want to hurt you.
Yeah, that too.
Because if it was a real game, I'd give you an elbow or a knee or a little side.
Yeah.
But it's my son.
That's probably what was going on too.
I don't want to get a yellow card. Like, oh,
yeah. but my sister, she was like, "Oh, pass me the ball" at some point.
And you kicked her in the head with the soccer.
Yeah.
No, wait.
No, that's what happened. My dad kicked the ball. And like he kicked it like up, and like my sister like ran in, and she ran in and sideways, and the ball just happened to travel. And the way she was running, she managed to travel right into it, and her face was just like bonk, and like the ball went in the air, and she fell down. And I remember me and my dad looked at each other, and we made the same face. We were like laughing.
Head ball.
Yeah, like we were just like we were trying to hold our laughter back, but we were like, "Oh, that was pretty funny. That was pretty funny." Like, and then we went to her and we made sure she was okay. But I remember that was funny. That was like one of my funnier moments with my dad. But then, all of a sudden, it was pretty sudden. My dad passed away. He kind of.
Wow, you're gonna take us right up to the charming soccer moment, and just give it to us.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I mean, that's what happened.
Yeah, that's how it felt in your world too. It was like happy moments, and then
it was very like I was living the basic,
idyllic,
generic, idyllic, middle class American life, where like you had the dad with the successful career, the mom who she worked, but she was like stay at home mom mostly, but she worked too, and like living in the house and and all that. And then it just like all that started to change. That was when like life completely transformed for me. So because my dad, since he was the main bread earner, he passed away, and it was like I don't think he really like he had some stuff set up, but it wasn't like he was organized. I don't think he even had a will. Like he just, because his death was out of nowhere. Like it just came out of nowhere. Nobody was expecting it. Nobody even thought it was even possible. Like he wasn't unhealthy. He wasn't the healthiest guy ever, but he wasn't unhealthy either. He was like pretty average health. So it was a pretty random occurrence.
But it wasn't like a car crash or something like that.
No, it was like it was just all of a sudden. He just naturally died out of nowhere. And
that happened to my dad's dad, and that's why it was. But he was around. I think my dad's dad was around 40, so it's different because you don't have an explanation. It's not like something happened that you can equate and see or make sense of.
Yeah. And it was weird for me because I didn't believe it at first, like when the day it happened. Because I remember the day that it happened. It was like
who told you?
It was my whole family. Because
no, maybe did one person tell you?
I mean, yeah, my uncle mostly, but my whole family was in the room. Because it was weird. Because we lived in Massachusetts, and my whole family's in Jersey, so we were all alone up in Massachusetts. So like our little family, like we were all alone up in Massachusetts, and like my aunt and uncle would come up during the holidays to like hang out with us for Christmas. They'd sleep over, and then they'd leave like the next day or like.
But this was a different time of year.
It was December, but it was early December, and it was right after Thanksgiving. Like we just had Thanksgiving, so they were just over, and then they were gone. And then I remember I went to school. It was like a Tuesday. It was a Tuesday, and I just went to school. My dad dropped me off at the bus stop, and I was like, oh, goodbye, love you. Like, it was the same old, like,
Wow.
thing. Like, he gave me a kiss goodbye and then left. And, like, it was like the normalest of normal days. Because my dad used to drive me to this bus stop all the time. But it was like the normalest of normal days. And I went to school, and school didn't feel weird. I don't even remember being in school that day. I just remember I went to school, and then my next memory, it was just like, because it was such a average day, I feel like nothing special happened at school.
No
So,
other memories from that day except
yeah,
for that goodbye.
for that
And
goodbye. And then I came back home from the bus stop. I got off with my friend Danny, and then his mom was there, and she was like, hey, like, your mom wants you to come over to my house, you and your sister, because my sister, I think, was she was either on the bus with me, or we were I think she was on the bus with me, because she just started going to the same school I was going to. So
so you remember at this point, did you think something was up? Or when you look back, you realize
I
she
didn't
was coming to pick you and your sister up?
I just thought, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, cool, I'm going to my friend's house, like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And it was so weird. It's like, then my other friend came over, and it was like a school night. So I was like, this is the coolest day ever. Like, I was thinking in my head,
Oh, God.
like, wow, like my friends are like we're all hanging out on a Tuesday night, and like we're playing PlayStation the whole night, and like I think we got pizza, and we were eating pizza. I was like, what the heck is this day? It was like it was a weird day, and I was like, I remember feeling happy, because I was just hanging out with my friends. My sister
So
was
this is
there.
after school.
Yeah, it was after school. I was hanging out with my friends, and like my sister was there, and she was hanging out, and like, I don't know, like I was just like distracted by video games and hanging out with my friends, joking around with each other. And then she just drove us. I remember that was when it started to feel weird, when my friend's mom said, I'm gonna drive you home. It's like, you're around the block. All right, okay. And then, but it was nighttime, and that was normal. Like, that thing happened. But like, Danny was in the car with us, and
Danny, your friend.
yeah, and my sister and I were in the back, and she drove us around the corner to, like it was like around this corner, around that corner. Then that was our house. Like, that was literally our house. And she dropped us off in front of the house, and I don't know, it was almost like she was solemn, like saying goodbye to us. To me, it was like a weird feeling, like she knew something, or
So she knew.
yeah,
when you look
she
back.
knew.
Okay.
And it was a weird feeling, like she knew something, or she it was like she was sad to say goodbye, like we were leaving her or something. But like, it wasn't like she knew we were leaving. And it was because she knew about my dad.
Yeah.
But it was like, that was the thoughts I was having. Like, is she like, does she think we're never gonna see her again? Like, or like, does she know something? Like, what's up? Because then I remember I looked up, and I saw like the shadow of a man from the front window of my house,
Got
where
it.
the living room was. And I remember, and I saw like the shadow of a man, and like I saw a woman sitting down against the windowsill, because in the house in Massachusetts we had like kind of like a seat there that
Like
was
a bay
built.
window. Like
Yeah.
it came out and then.
Yeah, it came out,
Okay.
and then there was like a seat there, right? And I saw the shadow of a woman, and I assumed it was my mom, and I presumed the man was my dad, and like it looked like it was. I don't know, like the engagement looked weird. Like, it looked like the woman that was sitting down. My
Already
mother.
the artist. You're already thinking about
Yeah.
like, what is this trying to translate nonverbals or something? Or
Yeah, I was already thinking that.
Figuring
I
it
had
out.
like a huge imagination. I remember before, like when we used to drive down to New Jersey to visit my aunt and uncle. I would like imagine. I would have like imagine it like Spider-Man was like, we were driving down the highway, and like Spider-Man
Yeah.
was slinging his webs down against the
Yeah.
trees and stuff. And it was silly. Like, I had like this big imagination.
Yeah.
But I was
I recognize it.
looking, yeah, and I was looking at the shadows, and I thought maybe like, oh, like she looked very solemn, like the woman sitting against the window, and I thought it was my mom. It was my mom, and she looked very sad and solemn, and then it looked like the man was like he was just like kind of like getting ready, or like it looked like he was talking, like and knowing my uncle now, it was probably like, it's okay, like don't, like, we have to tell them. I feel like he was telling my mom, like, we have to stay strong for
How
them.
are they gonna approach it?
Yeah, like, we have to
It
stay
with
strong
you.
for them when we deliver the news. you know, because they're gonna need a shoulder to cry on. I feel like that's what he was saying, but that's like my hindsight.
Do you remember? So, in your hindsight, looking back, do you remember what your sister was doing at the? She
I don't.
stopping to look at this picture like you were, or she just running up, or
She was
like
just
was
walking,
everything normal for her?
I think she felt something weird too, and she was just staying next to me. She was like walking beside me, because I think she felt off too, and I think she said something to me, but I was just like very. I think she was like, "Why are you slowing down?" And I was slowing down because I was slowing down looking at the picture. And I remember I breathed out because I thought maybe my mom and dad were fighting. I was like, "Oh, like, are they fighting?" Like, you know.
How old are you again at this point?
I was 9.
9.
I was like 4 weeks away from my 10th birthday. But I was like, because I've seen my mom and dad fight before. So I was like, oh, they're probably fighting again or something. Because it just looked like that, you know? And so I was like, oh, great. Like, you know, like in my head, I was like, we just had this.
There was something in the air. Something was up.
Yeah. It was
That's
like, it was such a
specific.
happy day. And then like coming home and seeing that. And I was like, I wonder what's going to happen when I walk through this door kind of mindset. And I remember I ring the doorbell or I knock on it. I don't remember, but my uncle answers. And I was like, whoa, what the heck? Like, I was like, what the heck? Like, what are you guys doing here? And like, I kind of smiled. And then I think my aunt was like, she couldn't like, I don't know. Like she saw me react that way. And I think she was like, oh, I can't. And like, or something.
Got
like,
emotional.
yeah. And then she like.
How vivid is this for you? Like thinking about it now, is it like
I could see it
4-dimension? Like you can smell and hear and like, or see or like.
I don't remember any smells, but I remember every visual thing that happened.
Colors and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I remember I walked up this because when the front door was kind of like you had like walk up the stairs to the living room, walk downstairs to like the basement family room thing. So it was like that. And we went up the stairs to the living room. My mom was sitting where I saw and I thought was her. And she was just like sitting there. And I was like, Mom, what's wrong? Like, that was the first thing I said. I was like, Mom, what's wrong? And then like people were not like, they didn't know how to say something right away. My mom wasn't really talking.
Like, what are the first words you use?
Yeah. And I think I asked too, like, hey, where's Dad? Or whatever. And then they kind of just sat us down. And then my uncle gave the news, and I remember my sister was about to cry, but I thought it was like, this is a joke, like this is stupid, this isn't real.
Do you remember how he gave the news?
He kind of just said roughly? He tried to say it as gently as he could. I don't remember the exact words, but he was just like saying like so there was an accident. I remember him saying that, like there was an accident. And I was like, what the heck are you talking about? Like, I was confused because like, it wasn't delivered in a way where like I was like, what, like a car crash or something? I remember saying something like that because it was like there was an accident. I was like, what accident? Like a car accident? Was Dad speeding or something? What happened? Like, I don't understand. And it just didn't. He tried to deliver it gently, and it came out weird. So I didn't believe the story. So I was like, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't add up. Like in my head, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. There's an accident, but like now my dad's not around. I was like, this is bullshit. Like, you know, I didn't believe it. I was like, this is a joke. And I remember my sister was about to cry, and I was like, no, it's all right. Because like we used to play hide and go seek in the house with my dad, my sister and I, and he would always hide in the dark rooms. Like he would turn out all the lights and he would hide in the dark because he knew my sister and I were afraid of the dark. So I figured that was happening. I was like, this is a joke, and he's hiding in the dark rooms over there, you know, because all the bedroom lights were over there. And
you said that to her? Like, oh, he's hiding.
Yeah, I was like, he's hiding over there. And so I walked her over, and we like went into my room, turned the light on. No one was in there. Went to the bathroom. No one was in there. Her room, no one was in there. My parents' room, no one was in there. And we kind of just sat on my parents' bed, and I was like, I can't find him. Like, and then my sister was like getting upset. And I was just confused. And I was like, he's probably hiding somewhere we can't find him. Like he, you know, because he was good at playing hide and go seek. I was like sitting there, like wrapping my head, like where could he be hiding maybe? And then I remember my whole family walked in. And then my uncle was like trying to keep my. He was like comforting my sister, and like I think my aunt sat next to me, but like she wasn't saying much. I was just sitting there, and it wasn't until my mom took out my dad's necklace that because it was like synonymous to him. Like every time you saw him, like with his like you always just saw his.
And you
gold
have
chain.
one.
Yeah, I have one now. It's not my dad's, but
No, but it's something that someone can identify.
yeah, like they know that I'm wearing something.
He's
It
always
was, yeah,
and it
and it's the same thing. He had like this like a thin gold chain with a cross, and like a gold cross, and I was like, okay, and I was like, that was something he always wore, and like my mom walked in with that.
Take a seat.
All right, we're back. Camera cut out.
That's an edit, folks.
Yeah, so my sister was upset, and I figured he was just hiding somewhere, and I just couldn't find him. I just couldn't. I was like, oh, I can't find him. So he's probably hiding somewhere. Like, I was like trying to rack my head around where he could be hiding, and then my family walked in, and my uncle sat next to my sister, was like comforting her because she was getting more and more upset. My aunt sat next to me, and I was still like confused and then my dad used to wear this necklace. It was like gold chain necklace that used to hold his cross or whatever, and it was synonymous to him. Like I knew, like they didn't like whatever he was wearing, whatever he was doing, he always had it on. It was just always on him. So I just my mom walked in holding that necklace, and she was trying to say like, oh, I think she was saying something like he wanted you to have this, but I just didn't. She barely started her sentence when I started to just cry out.
So that you felt immediately you knew what happened.
Yeah,
or you knew that it wasn't a game. Or
well, that's when I knew like, all right, he's gone, because I never saw him with that necklace off, so I just knew like, okay, he's gone, and I was old enough. My sister was old enough too to understand the concept of death, so we knew that he died. And that was when life just changed because we couldn't afford to live in Massachusetts anymore. Because my mom, like, she was working, but she wasn't making nearly as much money as my dad was, and so we couldn't live in that house anymore. And our whole family lives in Jersey, so. They were like,
uncle and other family and cousins and stuff like that.
And my aunt and uncle were like, you need to come down. You need to live in Jersey. This way, like, you're always with family. Family can help you out. And, my aunt and uncle were always there. Like, they've been with us since the beginning. Like, like, they were with us since my dad died. Like, they've been helping us out in all kinds of ways. So
I was going to ask because I'm curious. Your uncle is your dad's brother?
No.
Or your mom's brother?
No, my uncle is married to my aunt, and my aunt and my mother are sisters.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, and so when we moved down to Jersey, it was immediately different. We went from like kind of living in the country, but it was like suburbia, and and then we moved down to Jersey, and we moved to this city. We're pretty much like we're near like a big city, and our house was pretty much on a highway. This new house, and it wasn't even a house. It was kind of like a house. It was a mother-daughter house, and we lived on the smaller end of the side where we rented it out. And backyard was like non-existent. There's no yard, in Jersey. Like compared to what I did have, it's like it wasn't a yard. It was like grass, that surrounded my, third of a house, And there was no way for me to practice soccer anymore, because there was not a lot of room to really to practice soccer. That was one. Two, it was right on a highway. If I screwed up somehow and the ball goes into the highway, it's gone. And I could cause a big accident too. Somebody runs over a soccer ball, like who knows what that happens. On a highway, you're going like 50, 60 miles per hour, So it was like I couldn't practice there anymore. And I didn't really know fields. And once I did find some fields, it was like I had no one to play with anymore either. It was like I used to play with myself, but I didn't have like my dad every weekend. And then, I had like a friend too that I met who lived on the block, but we didn't always hang out. He was in a grade above me, and we had fun. We hung out. He wasn't a bad friend, but it was just like
So did you go right back to school then? Like, so that happened in December, like right January?
I didn't
you
go back into school until February because for some reason there was like issues with me going back to school. Like I moved out. We moved
in the
out.
move too. Probably had to sell the house, things like that.
Yeah, and we moved out like right after Christmas, like after New Year's. So it was January-ish time when we moved out. So it was like a couple weeks until I finally went back into school. But when I went back to school, they dropped me down a grade. So I wasn't in. I was in fourth grade when I was in Massachusetts, but then they put me in third grade when I came to Jersey, and I don't know. I don't know the whole reasons behind it. I think there was like some mix up with school systems and whatever. They were also telling me that my grades like weren't that great from Massachusetts, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, it wasn't even like halfway through the year yet. How can you tell me my grades aren't good enough to go, like to stick around in fourth grade? Like we went through one marking period and like we just started the second, pretty much. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, it just sounded like it got me angry. So because that was a problem that I had as a kid. After my dad died. Before my dad died, I wasn't really an angry kid. I was competitive and I was aggressive.
You had the pit bull in you with your friend Mike.
Yeah.
You were talking about when you play sports, but it would always come out in a competitive way, like a game.
I had to be in a competitive state. Like,
got it.
So I was never just like randomly angry. I just was like I got angry when I was like into something and I was competing and I was losing. And it's like, damn it. Like, I don't like losing, That was the only time I really ever got angry before my dad died. It wasn't until after my dad died, like, and then like, I didn't have my dad anymore. So that was like my best friend for me because he was my dad, but he was also my best friend to me because he was the guy that I always hung out with. I didn't hang out with anybody else really. Like I hung out with my friend Danny, hung out with my friend Mike, but like, it was like on every other weekend and it was like usually a Friday night and, because it was just how it was. Like, I just didn't, see him as often.
I think that, I don't know. I guess I'm an only child and my friends were almost every day.
Yeah.
For me. And that's,
yeah.
So that's a difference. It's a thing to note.
Yeah. It was a thing that was just happening when I was younger. I don't think it was like on purpose. It was just different.
Your dad was always there and kind of was a focus.
I mean, he would go on business trips sometimes. And when he went on business trips, like, I would hang out with my friends. But it was like the same thing. Like I didn't really see my friends except for like in school. And then like whenever my mom, like both our parents would allow us to hang out because, they were more into us like being home and like doing homework or whatever. So that's how that worked. And also back then, like, it was before the cell phone and we were also too young to, so it wasn't before the cell phone, but it was before we ever got cell phones. And it was before cell phones became smartphones and all that. It was just like it was just ringing and texting. That was it. But we didn't even have cell phones. So the only way to really like hang out with your friends is if you went over to their house.
Or set it up at school.
Yeah.
And say, hey, this day.
Yeah. And so, we didn't always do that because we just weren't organized with each other.
I guess.
So
you didn't have a plan. Let me check my book.
Yeah. So
no play date, no PlayStation date. No.
Yeah. So, but when I did hang out with my dad, play soccer all the time, but I didn't have that anymore. I didn't have like the go-to guy to play soccer with, and I didn't have like the go-to backyard to practice on my own with. So, trying to go play soccer, and like my mom too, she didn't really want me to go alone to a soccer field, and I was like, well, you don't even want to ever leave the house, like the way Dad like wanted to leave the house. Like Dad was like down to like, all right, yeah, let's go to a field, let's go, boom, and we went to a field and we play. It wasn't the same. Like, and then when we did, my mom wouldn't want to be there for as long. Like my dad and I would be there for hours, like the whole, like all of, like if we went on a Saturday, we'd go all Saturday, like almost all Saturday, like pretty much. It was sunrise. The sun was rising when we got there, and the sun was starting to set when we left. So we were there for like 4 or 5 hours sometimes, And it's just, I don't know. It wasn't like that. My mom, it was like we'd go there, it'd be like an hour or two, and then she just wanted to leave. And it was like,
so you're starting to feel these differences with the father being out of the picture. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Time alone at the field, not going out long enough.
Yeah. My whole life was changing. And then I used to have this confidence and this, swagger to me when my dad was alive. But after he died, I was losing it, and I was losing it fast. And that's what I noticed. And I didn't know that when I was young. I looked like, this is my hindsight, like looking at how I changed. I was like I was losing a lot of my confidence. I was losing a lot of my swagger, and I was losing a lot of my skills as a soccer player because I wasn't able to keep up. I wasn't able to practice as much. I remember and it's such like a weird kind of twist of fate, because I remember Massachusetts, the travel coaches were like, this kid's probably the best kid on the the recreational stuff right now. Like, he should be playing for travel. And then it went from coming to Jersey, and I tried out for travel, and I tried out at a time where I still had some of my skills, and I was hitting, like, I remember my tryout, I was shooting the ball, and I was hitting the top corner at the penalty line every time. And it was the assistant coach who was seeing me doing it. And he was like, you don't even need to come to second day of tryouts. Like, you're already on the team. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, I remember he said it to my mom. Because my mom was like, oh, like, so when's the next tryout? And he's like, he doesn't need to come. He's on the team. Like, he was putting in penalty shots like they were nothing. He was hitting the top corner every time. Like,
Nice.
yeah, it was like, this kid's good. Like, he's gonna make it on the team.
Just so you know, if you don't play soccer, that's a degree of difficulty for that is like through the roof.
Yeah, and I was doing that because I was always practicing.
I was
that
never
with my
good.
dad.
Like, I had control of the ball and I could run really fast and do stuff like that, but my aim.
Yeah, and I was doing that because I was always playing with my dad, and it laid over with me. Like, it stuck around with me those next 6 months after he died, but I wasn't practicing as much, and I felt a little rusty doing that. So there was a time where I was a little better as a kid doing it, and I did the tryout, and then I remember I did the tryout, and I got to the team, and I was like the new guy that I didn't know anybody, and it was probably going to be that way. I mean, I knew some kids from the travel team in Massachusetts because they were talking to me and they played rec with me, and one of the kids on my team, on my rec team, was on the travel team. He's like, dude, you should definitely play with us or whatever. So I was like, I knew going in, I was going to have friends. I was going to know people. This was different. In Jersey, like, I didn't know anybody. And there was a different attitude. And everybody was coming with their dads. And
they're all clicking up.
And they're already clicked up. And, it would have been easier for me to click in with people in Massachusetts because it's like, all right, I knew this one guy who was in this clique or whatever, But they were already clicked up. They were already, like, in their groups. I was the lone wolf there. And I didn't have my dad there to support me. There was times where, like, I remember I would feel like, like the typical thing a person feels, like, oh, like, there's worriness or there's fear. I don't know if, like, like the shyness or whatever, and like your dad's there, and it's like, just do it, just go, just do it. Like, I'm right here, I'm watching you, go, and whatever.
He gave you that confidence you were talking about to a degree.
Well, he helped fuel. He helped fuel the confidence. He helped fuel the swagger.
Yeah.
And as any guy, a man grows up with a dad, that's the thing, that's a reality that's there. Like, the dad is there to push you. He's going to push you to do things that you might not be comfortable doing, and he gives you the backbone for it. It's like, oh, you're not comfortable? It's fine. I'm right here. Do it. I'm telling you to do it. Just do it.
I've heard that before from my dad, so I know that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I didn't have that.
So my mom in the deep end to learn to swim, like all those tropes. Like, that's dad.
Yeah. And like, my mom wasn't like that because, she was a mom. She was more about, protecting me, She kind of a little more sheltered because it was I want to, I don't want you to feel whatever, but I was getting soft, looking back. Like, I know it's probably controversial to say that, but I was getting soft. I was losing the confidence. I was losing the swagger, and I didn't have the dad to push me to do the things that I wanted to do. So when I got there and I started meeting the team, it was different. It was weird. I didn't click with anybody because I didn't know any of these people, but they all knew each other already. They were all going to school together. And on top of that, they were in the same grade. I wasn't in the same grade anymore. I was dropped down a grade. Yeah. So it's like I couldn't even meet these guys at school because I was never running into them. I was always in a classroom of the lower grade. So there was no opportunity for me to really make friends with these guys. And like I kind of made friends with them, with some of them, but it wasn't the same. And that hit my confidence even harder because it was like I felt inferior. I felt inferior because I wasn't with them anymore. Like I got dropped down a grade. Like that destroyed that hit a lot of my confidence. When I got dropped down a grade, I was like, what the hell am I being dropped down a grade for? I just lost my dad. Like, so I lost my dad. I was losing a lot of parts of my identity because of that. And then I was just suffering for a while, like in my head, like mentally turmoil. And I was getting angry and I didn't know why I was getting angry. Then I know now, looking back, this is why I'm getting angry. I was losing a lot of my identity. I lost my father. I was losing a powerhouse that kept me going. I had to learn to be my own powerhouse. That was the one little gift that came from, not having my dad was learning to be my own father, I guess.
Your own fire to fuel you to get you through things.
Yeah, and to just learn things that a dad would teach. I had to like find out for myself, I had to find other male figures and stuff like that. So, but I remember getting angry. I got angrier and angrier as I got older. Because all this stuff I'm saying around, I was like 10, 11. And I was getting angrier around the time I was 12, 13. That was like 14. That was like the height. 12 and 13 is like the height of my anger. Because that was when I started getting into fights in school. I was just getting into fights with school. I was just like little things bothered me. Like,
was it blow-ups, or were you just constantly an open, exposed nerve? Or was it you would react?
I would react. It was more reactional. Because I remember we were playing soccer outside with like aftercare with with a bunch of kids, and like I was like friendly with these kids. Like they didn't hate me, they liked me. They thought I was funny. I liked hanging out with them, and we were playing together. But I remember this one kid. I remember this one time. They would kick the ball like behind the car. So there was a car parked in this like concrete that we were playing, and like I would go get the ball, and this kid would come around the car. And I think they were just messing with me. I didn't realize then, but I think they were messing with me. I think one of them would kick the ball over there so that I would go and get it, and then he would like come and like get the ball, like try to like just fuck with me, like steal the ball or like kick the ball out of my feet or something. But while he was doing that, he was kicking me in the calves, and I was like annoyed. And at first I laughed at it because I was like, all right, he got me. And the second time he did it, I was like annoyed. It's like he kicked me a little, and he hit me in the calf, and I was like annoyed. I was like, all right, come on, dude. And then like the third time he did it, I was like, I wanted to say something, but instead of saying something, I just reacted. And I took the palm of my hand and I like hit him in the nose, which is extremely stupid and dangerous.
God, where did you get that? I think I asked this before and I forget. Did you get that from a movie? Or was it just like
I think it was just
impulse.
It was an impulse because I think I didn't want to hurt my knuckles because I've punched things, like I've punched a wall before when I was young, like out of anger. And I hurt my knuckles, and I didn't want to hurt my knuckles again. So I started hitting the wall with the palm of my hand, and it didn't hurt as much. So I think I just had the reaction of like, I'm just gonna hit this kid, and I'm gonna hit him with the palm of my hand because it doesn't hurt my hand. And then I hit him, and I gave him a bloody nose, and I didn't realize, and I just like I saw him cry, walk off, and like with the bloody nose, and I kind of shocked myself because I was like, what the fuck did I just do? But I was a kid, and kids don't, they don't know like
nuances.
Yeah,
that you skipped a couple of steps, like saying no, but you just like third time I gave him 3 strikes. He was out.
Yeah, and then, I don't even remember if I communicated to him if I didn't like it or not. I don't remember the whole situation.
So these blow-ups, I mean, your anger came out unusually or usually physically, or was it verbal?
I couldn't. When it came to it would come out verbal, but I didn't at that time. I didn't have a way to I didn't have a way with words. Like I didn't speak because I would get so angry that it's like I would run through. So my mind would just spin real fast, and it would go through all the things that I want to say, but I didn't have the speed of mouth to say it as fast as I wanted that I was thinking it. So I was just and then I would get annoyed by that, and so then the anger would just build and build. And it was just like this reaction, bam, and like I would just react.
You would Hulk out.
Yes, I would Hulk
destroy someone's face.
I didn't do it often. I didn't get into a lot of fights. I think that was like that wasn't even a fight. It was just an engagement and that it was completely my fault for acting that way. You know?
Stopped it before it became a fight, I think.
Yeah, I guess.
You did a finishing move at the beginning.
Yeah. And then I remember there's this other time I was like 12, and like there was this kid, I don't know, we were hanging out on the playground, and like he put me in a headlock, and I was like annoyed by the headlock. So like I went to like punch him in the nuts. And this time I actually had a fist. And I was like trying to punch him in the nuts. But like I couldn't hit him because he was swagging. He had like the swagger, like where his pants were droopy.
The MC Hammer pants, that's from
No, he just was just sagging his pants where like his underwear was, his whole ass was pretty much visible.
So you couldn't do a real sack attack. You just had
No, because I was just hitting pants. And I was like, what the hell am I hitting here? Who wears pants like this? And he saw that I was trying to hit him.
It's like a trampoline.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And he saw that I was trying to do that.
Oh my God.
So then we got into a fight. He was punching me in the face, and I was like defending myself more. He was a lot bigger than me. He was like almost twice my size, and here I am trying to fight this guy. But I didn't care because I was annoyed that he put me in a headlock, and I was like, because I didn't understand what was happening. Like I don't know why he did it. I think he reacted out of impulse first. So then, because he was a problem kid too, so I think he reacted out of impulse first, and then I just reacted back, and then it caused the whole fight. And then I remember walking with like my right eye got swollen shut, and like I remember there was these two kids. They were like friendly with me. I wasn't really friends with them, but they were friendly with me, and they were hanging out, and like they would talk to me sometimes, and like they saw that happened, and they were like, "Dude, like you all right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Dude, your right eye is like swollen shut." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." And they were like shocked that I wasn't crying because this kid used to fight kids, and this other kid that I was fighting, he used to fight kids all the time, and he would like get them hurt. And like they would cry and stuff, and they were shocked that I wasn't like one of the victims that were crying from the onslaught. The onslaught. So I was like, nah, bro, like whatever. Like I wanted to do more, but the fight got broken up. You know, that was my mindset, and like that was what was happening. I was just getting angrier until eventually, like I hit 8th grade, and like the anger chilled for a bit, but I didn't understand what was happening. This whole thing I'm telling you, it was me going through the 5 stages of grief, but it took me years to go through it. So that was anger I think is like the 3rd stage, and I was there for years. Yeah, I was there for like 3-4 years. And then
are you getting angry thinking about it? Because your voice and stuff did change. Like, does it rile you up?
No, I didn't get angry. It doesn't get me angry. I mean, it gets me like pumped
Juiced
up a little. Yeah, it's like juiced
yeah.
up. But I'm not like I don't have like
Got it.
I don't hold any grudges. I don't have any feelings from it. I just remember how it felt, and I guess the memory of it is there, so I guess it comes out like that. But I'm not like angry or tempered.
Yeah, but you realized you were on that 3rd stage.
Looking back, hindsight, I didn't know then.
I don't know all the stages.
Yeah, looking back, hindsight, I think anger is the 3rd stage because I think it starts out as denial, then it's like sadness, then it's anger, then it's depression, then it's acceptance. And I was on the anger stage for a while, and then my depression hit freshman year, where I was like depressed freshman year of high school. I finally went into high school. I was like 14 turning 15, even though I was supposed to be 13 turning 14. But I was 14 turning 15 as a freshman, and I got really depressed, and I just didn't talk to anybody. I had friends too. Like I had some friends. I remember 7th and 8th grade. Like I used to, get into trouble. Like particularly my friend and I would like pick trouble in our Latin class and stuff with our Latin teacher. We were just being obnoxious. But after that, like that friend of mine, he went to high school. He went to a private school. And then I went to high school, but I was, for some reason, because my high school merged 2 middle schools together, and I didn't know anybody from the other middle school. So when I went to high school, all of a sudden, for some reason, I was like one of the oddballs in my class from my school that was like being put in all the classes with all the kids with the majority, not all of them, because I saw some kids from my side of town, but they were none of my friends. Like, and they were just people I barely even knew from my middle school, But we were put into the classes that had majority of kids from the other middle school. And I was like, why am I screwed over here? Like, I don't have any of my friends. And I was going to class. I didn't have any of my friends from my school, my side of town. I was just getting sad. Like, I was like, the anger went out, like it puffed out, and then I was just like depressed.
You weren't getting angry anymore. You just more
No, nothing was nothing.
sadness.
Yeah, it was just it wasn't even sadness. It was like I was empty. It's like I didn't have like.
So how did that manifest itself? Do you remember?
It just happened.
No, I mean, like, did it manifest itself in you just sequestering yourself, getting away, being alone? Was it?
Well, that's what happened. I got depressed, and then I just stopped caring. I just like I was empty. I didn't feel anything anymore. It was the weirdest thing. Like depression is really weird.
Numb.
Yeah, I was really numb, and I didn't feel anything, and I just didn't care about anything. I would go to school, and like I wasn't rude. I didn't try to start trouble in class. I wasn't like, I didn't care. Like there was nothing there to fuel me. There was no fire there to be like, oh, let me annoy the teacher. Let me do this, blah, blah, blah. Let me, some kid. This kid's annoying me. I would screw him. Like no, it wasn't happening like that. It was just
Didn't care.
I didn't care anymore. I just stopped, and I just like went on just going to class. I would let the teacher teach their lesson. I wouldn't do any of the work, and then I'd go home. I wouldn't do any of my homework, and I would just, at that time I was playing guitar. I stopped playing soccer like a couple years before that because I was just depressed and my skills as a player went down and down each year. Because I just wasn't, I was angry and I wasn't practicing and I wasn't playing good because I wasn't practicing and I didn't have my dad there to cheer me on. So it felt like, I feel looking back, I feel like the kid I was saying, why even bother doing this? If, it was like the point of me doing it isn't even there anymore,
It was attached to something different in your past that's no longer there. So it's like, I don't have this attachment to the sport anymore. I
Yeah.
don't care.
So I stopped playing soccer and I picked up guitar. And I was just playing guitar at that time. And that's what I would do. I would wake up in the morning. Like I would wake up just before going to school, get dressed, go to school, basically be a gnome in school. Like just
Like a garden gnome?
Yeah, I would just basically I would go there and I would sit there and I'd say nothing, do nothing.
I know this kid.
Yeah. I would sit there, I would say nothing, do nothing. Then the bell would ring, go to the next class, sit like a gnome, sit there, say nothing, do nothing. And I'd go home. And that was my school day. Then I'd go home and I would just go right into my room. I'd walk upstairs, take my bag off. I'd take my shoes off, take my bag off, go into my room, lock myself in my room, play guitar for a few hours, and then lay on my bed and watch like documentaries of bands I liked or just watch them play live or listen to music. And I would do that until like midnight, pass out. I wouldn't even try to fall asleep. I would just pass out. And then I'd wake up right before I had to go to school, do the same thing all over again. That was my freshman year of high school. I was literally I was nothing. It was
music an outlet? Is that why you picked up the guitar? You
Yeah,
just had
music
favorite
music
bands?
was like the only
Get
thing.
lost in it?
Yeah, music was the only that was the only form of expression I had that whole year. The only form of expression I had left in me. And I just expressed myself in music, but I didn't feel like I was good enough to perform in front of people, so I never expressed myself to other people. So it was just locked in my room, depressed. And I remember my guidance counselor, he's like, okay, so you failed some classes. It was pretty much, I almost failed everything. I had like terrible grades, horrible grades. And he said, you failed some classes, you need to go to summer school for mathematics. This other stuff we can do next year. You'll have a really heavy schedule next year, but if you want to do it, we can do it. We can get you out in 4 years instead of you being like a fifth year high school student or whatever.
And you were already set back 1 year.
And I was already set back 1 year. So when I heard that, I got even more depressed. And then, so he told me to do summer school, the for whatever mathematics, it was algebra 1. And he's like, go to school for that, summer school for that. And then we could pick up, depending on how well you do there, we could pick up on how we, for the rest of your next year, and then pretty much set you up to be fine to graduate when you need to. And I was like, okay. And I didn't care. I was like empty, and I didn't like the news, so I got even emptier. And then summer hit. I left. I signed up for the summer school. I remember I logged in the first day because it was supposed to be 30 days. So I logged in the first day. I did like 2 or 3 lessons, and then I didn't touch it for like the next 20 days. And there was like, it was like 23 days or something. And then I remember this is how I got out of my depression. So there was always this ambition in me to do something. So when I was playing music at the time, I wanted to just, because I wanted to escape, I wanted to form a band and I wanted to travel. And I just wanted to go on tour and I didn't want to stop touring. I just wanted to be on a bus and just keep going, playing shows. And then that was my mindset then, was I just wanted to be on a bus and, and play shows, and that's it. Fuck everybody else, fuck everything else. All right, camera died again. It's a good sign that I'm talking too much.
It's a good sign.
But yeah. So went to summer school, and it was more. I got more depressed from the news of the summer school. So
The news was
that I was, feeling everything. I could get 5 more years. Instead of graduating 4 years from high school, I might graduate in 5 if I don't do summer school. And so I got more empty in that, and then I wanted to just drown out, and I wanted to just tour the world. I wanted to play music and just, I wanted to make a band, play music. I wanted to run away from everything. I was like tired. I just didn't want to be around people anymore. I didn't want to be where I lived. I didn't want to be around people. I just wanted to have a tight-knit group of a band, guys who were like me, thought like me, lived, wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I just wanted to tour the world playing music. But there was this ambition in me where I wanted to collect the accolades and, make money off of the music and be able to help my family. So there was still this ambition in me that was lighting the flame. Now, while I was depressed, I had suicidal thoughts. And I remember there was this bridge that I used to walk up to. I walked up to it once, but there was this bridge that I knew of in the town next to me. And in that bridge, there was a train that crossed it. But instead of me standing on the track and wanting to get hit by the train, I wanted to, there was heavy traffic underneath the bridge. And I wanted to just fall off the bridge and then let myself get hit by oncoming traffic. That was the, that was the thought that kept occurring to me throughout that whole freshman year of high school. And I kept thinking about that. The only thing that made me never go to the spot and do it was I would always think about my mother, my aunt, I would think about my family and how upset they would be. Not upset and like angry, upset like crying, and I feel like I would cause more hurt and sadness by doing that than I would by
solving a issue.
Yeah, or
you had
running away the way I wanted to run away. So that's why I had that ambition in me to, all right, if I run away, I got to do something to when I come back, I help the family. That was kind of like my thought. That's why I wanted to make music and be successful at it at that time. And I went to the spot once, and it was by accident. It wasn't like I planned to go there and think about it and do it. It was, I never actually acted on it. I always just had the suicidal thoughts. And I remember I was hanging out with my buddy, and we were trying to meet up with other people, just like a friend group. And he wanted to take a shortcut. And he was like, let's just go over the tracks. And I was like, I don't want to go over those tracks. And he was like, no, well, come on, let's just fucking go over the tracks. And I was like, dude, I don't want to go over the tracks or whatever. And I didn't tell him why, because I didn't want people knowing that I had thoughts like that.
But you didn't want to go close to this because of the thoughts that you had.
I think it was a combination of the thoughts I had. It's just I'd never wanted to go to that place because I just didn't want to go to it. And I remember my friend was like, let's just go over. I'm going to go over the tracks. And I was like, fuck it. And I just followed him. And then we were climbing up this hill because the tracks are on top of a hill. So we climbed up the hill, made it to the tracks, and then the bridge was to our right, and the busy road was over there. So I remember when I got up to the tracks, it was like a weird feeling. There was this dizziness in my head. And I had this weird feeling going on. My heart was kind of it felt like it was like it sank a bit, and like my head was getting dizzy. And I remember looking at the tracks, and I looked at the bridge, and I didn't really want to look at it. I didn't look at it long. I just kept away from it. I kept my eyes off of it. And I was just by the tracks. And like I had this heavy feeling, and that was where I was like, I'm not gonna kill myself. That was kind of the conclusion I came to, where it was like, I'm not doing this bullshit.
Looking back, what do you think that feeling was?
I don't know. I think it was just a thought that I always had, but it was always like uncertain if I wanted to do it. So being there was kind of the thing that made it certain, like, yeah, you don't want to do this. And so then I kept going. I walked over the tracks, and then I followed my buddy, and we met up with our friend group, and we continued the night. That was it. Nothing else special happened. That was just it. That was just like a little quick thing. It happened fast in my head. It wasn't like it was short. It's just like, got there, didn't like it, and then I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. And then that was it. And went over the tracks and left. I mean, I stood there for a little bit, and that was when I really thought about it, and that was when I made the decision. But then I left. I walked over the tracks, and I went on. And then, but then summer school started, and I signed up. It was a 30-day thing. So it was like 30 days to finish a whole 9 to 10 months worth of Algebra 1. You had to finish it in 30 days. I signed up. I did the first day. I did like 2 or 3 classes in the first day, and I was like, screw this. And then like I stopped. I stopped doing it, and I left it alone. I was still depressed and numb and like not, feeling anything. So I was like, I didn't care. I just stopped. And then it was 6 days before the program ended. I was waking up in the morning, and I had like this image of a sun rising in the horizon. And it was like the sun was coming out of like this, and it was just like rising from this orange into this golden sky. And then as it got to the golden part of the sky, my eyes like opened. I woke up, and it's like I snapped out of autopilot. It was like the kid who had all the confidence and swagger when his dad was alive. It's like he came back, kind of. And he was like, what the fuck have you been doing these last few years,
Why did you put me on snooze?
Yeah.
All right.
That's pretty much what happened. It's not like I was back, like, oh, yeah, I'm back. But it was like that kid was back, and he didn't know how to be, like, the attitude was back.
Yeah.
But it didn't know how to live in this vessel that was there, that was in autopilot and just cruising. And so, but I woke up, and I was like, what the? And then those next 6 days, I had a little bit of anxiety, because I started feeling again. It was like all this anxiety started coming into my.
So the numbness went away.
Completely.
You were feeling anxious about finishing this course.
About finishing the course. And I was like, I was worried because I thought I wasn't going to make it. And so I freaked out, and I was like, whoa, I had a little bit of an attack. And then instantly I started planning and managing how I was going to do it. Instantly. And then.
This was math?
It was Algebra 1.
Jeez.
Which I'm not my strong suit either. My stronger suits were English and history. But
I will say I liked algebra, but it's difficult.
Yeah.
Yay. Go ahead.
So I had to cram the next, like, cause there was like 3 classes. I think that there was a total like 60 to 70 classes. I only did 3 of those. I had to cram all that in 6 days. So I would wake up at 8 in the morning, and I would work in front of my laptop doing Algebra 1 until midnight. That was my days. And I had like short little bursts of breaks in that grueling session where I, would eat, and maybe I'd clean a little bit because I was like, I'm stressed out. I need to fucking clean. So I started cleaning like the kitchen, and I was like, chill out, take a break, rest your brain, clean,
Clean.
And then,
It's funny.
but it was 8 a.m. to midnight. And I just grueled. And I remember my mom saw I was struggling. So she would get like someone that she knew to come and help me a little bit. And then my sister saw that too. She brought like her friend, her older brother came and helped me out one day. My neighbors, our landlords at the time, they, the son came one day, and he was like, oh yeah, I'll help you out a little bit. And then like the sister came, one of his younger sisters came help me one day.
Helping you understand it, or you had homework to do?
They were helping me do the work in the classes.
Oh, it was all on computer?
Yeah, it was there, and they were helping me do the work pretty much. Yeah. So the lessons and like,
wow.
and then I just grueled my way through it. until finally I finished it. Now, I didn't know what grade I got because I didn't have time to like see what I was doing. And then, the teacher had to grade it all. And this teacher was probably like,
It all came in at the last
yeah,
6
like
days.
70 classes in like the last 6 days. Like, what is this kid doing? At least this kid, like, at least he powered through it. But what the hell, And I did it, got it done, sent it in. And the last I checked my grade, it was like a D plus. And that was with the work, however many works she was able to get through to grade at that time. So I figured, okay, at least I have a D plus. I passed by like the skin of my teeth. I passed to move on to the next grade or whatever, to get through the work. But I remember I got back to, and I spoke to my guidance counselor. I was like, all right, let's see the grade you got for your summer school. Because he asked me, like, you did it, right? And I was like, yeah, I did it. I was like, yeah, I did it, definitely. But he looked at it and he was like, oh, dude, you got a B plus. That's freaking awesome. And I was like,
Whoa.
I remember sitting there. I was like, a B plus? Like, I haven't got a B plus in a while. I was like, whoa. And that was like the confidence started to get built up again from that day forward.
You saw what you could do. You pulled it off.
I saw that I was capable of doing something most, like maybe 98% of other students would have just given up on. I did it, and I did it fast. Then my sophomore year of high school was like a hybrid of freshman and sophomore year. So I had 2 English classes because I failed English last year too. So I had 2 English classes. So I was reading a shit ton of books that year. That's probably why I got pretty good at reading and read still now, because I had to read, like, I think the curriculum for just one English class was
There's
like
a lot of books.
Yeah, it was like 5 to 7 books, and they were like literature books.
And you had 2.
Yeah, I had 2 of them, so I had like a total of like 16 books maybe.
I know you're an avid reader. You're saying that's when that kind of began, you think? You didn't,
I think
or
it
did
helped.
You read before?
I think it helped. There was a time in high school where, like, after I did that year, junior and senior year, I didn't read that much. Leisurely. except for like school stuff. Cause I was like, oh, I need a break from staring at pages and reading words and, writing essays. I was writing so many essays. It was insane, but I made it through. And then like, that was another boost in my confidence. I was like, all right, like, look at this. You're doing work that like these kids, like, as I remember sitting at like lunch tables and like hearing my friends talk, and they're stressing about just having one class or just doing the generic classes. And I'm like, I'm tackling 2 different grades at once in this year. In 1 year, I'm doing two different fucking grade levels. So, and I was blasting through. I was getting A's. I was acing like my English classes, So I was like, whoa, like it was a testament on. I was learning at what I was actually good at, which was the more reading, writing, history, artistic stuff, and I was also showing myself like my medal. Like, all right, this is the medal that you've been forged. To basically be the sword that you're going to turn yourself into or whatever, So that was kind of, that was sophomore year was also the year because I remember, all right, when I first started sophomore year, I was like, I'm going to pursue acting because that was a passion that I'm actually really good at. I'm better than music. I'm better at it than music. And I just never pursued it because of whatever stupid reasons I decided not to pursue it. So I decided to, all right, after sophomore year, my junior year, I'm going to pursue it. But then I was middle of sophomore year. I was doing so well. I was like, yo, fuck it. Let's do the musical. So I did the musical.
Remember what it was?
I got into Singing in the Rain. I was in the ensemble. And I remember when I auditioned, it was terrible audition because I was so nervous. I never auditioned before in my life. So I was so nervous. I was reading this comedic role, but I said it like I was reciting literally what the director said. He's like, you recited that like you were a president giving a speech. For this comedic role. I was like, that's not good, is it?
Who's on first? No, who's on second? Yeah. I'm trying to imagine what that would sound like.
But he put me in. He casted me. He's like, I'm going to cast you. I'm going to put you in. He said to me, basically, it's like, because you have a good presence. And I was like, okay. And then I remember walking out. I was like, that's probably the most embarrassing thing I ever did in my life. Because it was like a comedic role, and I just no shred of comedy, no effort in. I was just there, spread like stage voice, deliver the lines with some character, because there was a little bit of a character in it, but it was like President of the United States,
Ask not what you can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
Yeah. Yeah, only less funny. and But I got in and I was like, I wanted to prove myself to the director. I'm like, dude, I'm better than what you saw. So I would do it. And I was helping the stage crew out a lot because I was like, look, see, I work hard. All right, I work hard. Look at me. Look at me. I'm better than what I showed you in the audition. So I worked hard at the stage crew and I was performing better. I was doing the roles and the lines better. And I was showing him that I had a character.
Yeah.
And so he gave me more of the ensemble roles. So I went from having like one small ensemble role to having 4. And then I melded it in basically into one character because he was like, you could play this as one character, but it's 4 different characters, but you could play it basically as one character. And I was like, okay. And I did it. And I tackled the task. And then that boosted my confidence because not only was I performing strong academically and showing like, look, I'm not a stupid kid. I just never applied myself. And then I was doing that. I was performing strong academically and I was performing strong creatively. So, and I think that was fueling my fire a lot and it was boosting my confidence and was making me return to that kid who had the confidence and the swagger. But now it's like the attitude is performing in this newer forged vessel and this older, wiser kid still, And so I was walking to the beat of my own drum. Junior year came in, I was a little more confident and I relaxed a little bit. And I was like, I had a hard year last year. I'm still gonna work hard, but I'm gonna take it easy. And I went from just being an ensemble guy. We got a new director for our plays and musicals. So I was like, I gotta prove myself again to a whole new fucking director. So I went into the audition. I'm like, new mindset. This is a comedy. I know exactly what I need to do. Boom, and I performed. And I went into the audition ready with a character. Like, as ready as I could because I got the audition paper the day of and I was looking at it. I was like, okay, let me read. Who am I going to read best for? And I stuck to Dr. Zabriskie because I auditioned for the play Fools. And so I auditioned for Dr. Zabriskie and then I auditioned for The Patient. And and the director I remember the new director and like the new team, the teachers that were leading the plays, they were laughing the whole time I was performing. And I was like, oh yeah, this is a good audition. I was getting more confident. And then I remember it ended and they were asking me questions and I was like telling them, they were like, who's your favorite actor? And I was like, Anthony Hopkins. And I think that impressed my director there. He was like, Anthony Hopkins, that's not an answer I would imagine from a student.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it was Anthony Hopkins. And he's like, what makes you like Anthony Hopkins? And I was like, just his ability to really encapsulate a character. Like he just brings a character to life, like it just, like I remember seeing him and he just always, I couldn't find the words, but I knew.
What had you seen him in?
I saw him.
Silence of the Lambs.
I saw some stuff of Silence of the Lambs. I saw Anthony Hopkins in I saw him in this movie Alexander, where he plays Ptolemy, the elder Ptolemy. I saw him I saw him in Mask of Zorro,
Oh yeah.
But I liked him in Mask of Zorro. I thought he was probably the best guy there, in that movie. Not that Antonio Banderas and Catherine Zeta-Jones weren't great. They were phenomenal. I just loved Anthony Hopkins, the way he played that character.
You're drawn to him and what he was doing.
Yeah, he has this charisma. He has this swagger to him too, and this confidence. And at that time, that's what I was trying to idolize. I remember that as a kid. I was like, I'm idolizing, I need more confidence. I need to build myself up again. I need to learn how to do that. I need to learn how to fuel myself. So I'm learning, instead of from a father to push me, I'm learning from other examples of men doing it themselves. And so I was like, okay, Anthony Hopkins, he's, and I was learning from all these Christian Bale, I was learning from all these really great actors, seeing how they had this swagger to them, this charisma and this like confidence to them in their performance. And I was like, I need to emulate that as best I can. And so I did. And then as I got older, high school got easier. High school was I did the play. I starred in the play and I starred in the musical. Then I starred in the play my senior year and I starred in the musical my senior year. No, I wasn't a good musical lead. I don't think because I don't think I had the strong.
You had to put on
voice.
cheese. It wasn't very
It
real.
was
It seems like you
cheese,
do
yeah.
good when a play where it's straight, but you have to take on a character.
Yeah.
Even if it's a comedy, it's like it's based in its realness, whereas
Yeah.
a musical is based in this cartoon almost.
Yeah, it was
break
like
into
this
song.
strange reality. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did it okay. People liked it. People liked my performances. And so high school got easy, but then I finished high school. And after I finished high school, I went into college, and it was the same thing again. I was going alone, by myself, no friends. I had to meet new people, but there was this new attitude to me.
Mm-hmm.
I had the swagger now. I had the confidence, and I was like, I'm already way better than where I was 4 years prior. And so that was keeping me strong. And at that time, because I'm a UFC fan, I'm a big MMA fan, at that time, Conor McGregor was at the top of the MMA world, bro. He was probably the best fighter in UFC. He was probably the best. Yeah, I think he was the best fighter in the UFC at that time. Because he was undefeated. He had like 19 straight knockouts in a row or something like that, or TKOs, whatever you want to say. And he had this confidence and this swagger to him, but it was extreme. And I was like, whoa. And so I was like, there's things to learn from this guy about confidence and swagger for sure. Cause he oozes it. He's got way too much.
Personality.
Yeah, charisma, all that shit. And I was like, so he started to inspire me. One, he shocked me as a fighter. I loved watching his fights. And then two, his presence, his stage presence, his ability to be in front of the camera or be in a press conference and run the whole thing. Like he's doing better than he's doing better than even the president of the damn company, and like he's talking all this trash, and as you could tell he has like a character to him too. So I was like, all right, there's a lot to learn from this guy too, in a way, especially for me personally, growing into a man that I want to grow into. And I was like, I want more confidence, more swagger to myself. So I learned a lot from Conor McGregor. And so it was a lot of like me watching and studying Conor McGregor. And I was like, okay, learn what I can from him. And like to humble myself, I was learning from Ned Stark too. I was like, all right, there's still the honor and the code and the respect that you need to have,
Yeah.
So I was like, learn from Ned Stark as well, just to keep myself a little with some humility. Because at that time, Conor McGregor was starting to shred off all the humble humility he had, And
you were gathering inspiration, aspirational stuff from men, either in fiction or in real life, that were larger than life.
Yes.
That seemed larger than life.
To me, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, and then that too, I was getting a lot of that from James Bond growing up. I watched like Daniel Craig's James Bond. Yeah, I was telling him not too long ago. Daniel
Big
Craig's
Bond
James
fans
Bond.
too,
Yeah, we're big James Bond fans. But Daniel Craig's James Bond was something I was learning a lot from too. I was like, okay, learn from his mistakes so that we don't repeat them, but learn from him, the things that he's succeeding at as a man. And
James Bond, not Daniel Craig.
James Bond. Daniel Craig's James Bond.
The fictional like story.
The fictional character. Yeah. The fictional character. And I was like, learn from the failures and learn from the successes. And I was like, okay.
Interesting.
And so, I was like, learn from the failures, emulate the successes. That was my mindset. And that's still my mindset today. But I feel like I'll get there. But yeah, got there, did all that. And it's like, it was just been a rising experience for my life since then. So we went from the depressed kid who then saw the golden horizon in a vision, accepted that his father was dead, accepted that he's in the shithole he's in. So he decided, you know what, there's only one person that can change the shithole. It's me. So I changed it. I went from being one of the worst students in high school to one of the better students in high school. I went from being a kid who did nothing and no one to having a bunch of friends and, performing in things that he loves to perform in. Finished high school, got to college, then started getting opportunities outside of college. So then started to chase those opportunities that led me to more opportunities, that led me to more people, that led me to more money, to buy equipment, to where I'm at now basically it's been a steadily growing process of growing as a man, growing as a artist, and growing into the individual that I want to make myself. So basically that's my origin story.
Well, there's more to come.
There's a whole lot more. The story's not finished yet. There's another 50, 60, 70 years to go.
So would you say you're at the first act, second act?
I would
That's
say
first act.
I would say I'm rounding the corner into the second act. That's what I'm saying. I think the second act is right there, and it's going to be a very affluent one.
How did this make you feel, like getting that out or saying your origin story? What was that like?
I've said it before. I've just never put it into this kind of
Length?
environment, and I think it's been at
Like the whole story like this?
I've said it before.
I've heard bits and pieces, but there's some things that, you know, as a friend, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
I've heard bits and pieces told at different times, but never pieced together. And there are still some things that I didn't realize.
Yeah.
So you've done this before where
There's been like sometimes, you know, you date some girls and they want to hear your story, so you tell them your story.
you go
And then
on
they
for
tell
like
you
an
to-
hour and a half about
Well, they tell
your
you to keep going, even, and I'm
origin
like,
story.
you want me to keep going? And it's like, yeah, keep going. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll keep going, and then you keep going. So, yeah.
Well, you must have dated some good listeners.
Well, I don't know.
That's a good gentleman. Date listeners.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
excellent.
That's my origin story. That's next week. We get to hear Josh's origin story, where he gets to talk for an hour and a half, and the camera gets to stop for
God.
3 times.
I don't know what I'm going to say. No, I have an idea, honestly.
He's got it. But yeah, thank you for listening to that. I don't know, tangent.
No, that was a trajectory. That was like, you were on course. I said it earlier. Like, there's a nervousness telling your whole story, I'm sure. Because it's like, you're putting it out there and exposing it. But, man, you went right on a track and it had a beginning, middle, and end. I mean, you're a true artist, I guess, in telling a narrative.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, get confidence with that. People will hear it and connect to some things, I think. I did. I found myself in my, oh, yeah, I had a similar experience or.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
So
and I want
thank
to
you.
tell my story too, because, well, one, I want people who watch us to get to know me, and I also I feel like not a lot of people understand what it's like to be a boy growing up without a father and growing up in the current society. People like know what it's like for a boy to grow up without a father in older societies or like the previous generation, but this generation is different. It's like, because there was stuff that I didn't cover, but there was a time where like I felt like I couldn't. There was another reason why I felt like I had this aggression, because I felt like I had to always be snuffed. You know, like there was. I just didn't feel like I could be a boy and express myself the way they wanted to. I had a lot of physicality to me, and I didn't have a way to say my words because I was thinking them too fast and too much, and I needed an outlet. And I remember telling my mom, "Let me play football, let me play wrestling," but she didn't want me to do that. She didn't want me to do that because she didn't want me getting hurt. So I feel like it's important for people to hear the story and be like, look, like boys need the outlet. They need the outlet because it's innate in them and they're going to find a way out of it somehow. You can't, if you don't give them the outlet, they get worse, rather than better. You're protecting them less by not letting them do the outlets. That's my opinion.
I always
because that
found
was
an
my
outlet.
life.
Yeah, I think all guys. And I don't know a woman's story, but I think all guys do try to find an outlet.
Yeah.
And we talked about that. This is what we want to do this for. This is an outlet for
Yes,
us.
this is an outlet.
Always seeking an outlet.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That was a great conversation.
yeah. Sorry if that was a long one.
Don't you apologize for that. I won't let you. I won't let you.
All right, well,
Calm
That's it.
down.
let's end the rep episode. It's going on. We're kind of dragging, but yeah, it's a good one. Thanks for listening.
Fist bump?
Fist bump. Boom. But yeah, thanks for listening. We've been the Gentleman Sit Down. Next week we cover Josh's story. So get tuned in.
Come back.
Return.
Yes.
It'll be a good one. This man has a great story. But thank you. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.